y'all, welcome back to Mrs. Space City, the other half of Space City Cannabis. On this channel we review edibles, rosin vapes, and pre-rolls. This week we continue our how-to with how to preserve a cannabis leaf. In the last video I showed you guys how to take this leaf here, this fan leaf, take the trimmings, smush it between these papers here, and it flattens it out like a little pancake. Dries it out really nice, and now we're going to move on to the next part of how to make this into a piece of art. So we're going to take the fan leaf, as you see right here, we're going to flip it over on its back, be gentle with it. And this one, as you can see in the last video, I talked about how the fan leaf could curl, so you want them really fresh. This is what you'll see when it starts to curl just a little bit. It's not too bad up here, but as it gets lower, you kind of see it start to curl. So you just want them to be as fresh as possible and do not leave them out to wilt. We're going to be using some acrylic varnish from Grandstone. This is the matte finish. I also have the shiny high gloss one. But for these leaves, I think the matte looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more natural than the high gloss. The high gloss makes it look more like a photo. All right, so you're going to take your paintbrush. And I like a really wide brush just because you have to do this quick. So we're going to just put a bunch of it on. We're going to go down every leaf. And like I said, you kind of want to try to move fast because the leaf is going to rehydrate and it's going to come back to life and it's going to start curling again. So as you go around, just go to the very edge, bring it down to this middle part. Pay attention to these little edges right here, the little points. And I really like this brush because it covers a wide amount of the leaf. It makes it that much quicker. So as you can see, this one's already kind of starting to come up. So we need to work a little bit faster. You want to work fast, but also be gentle because these leaves are very, very fragile and they will crack. So just be very careful, very gentle when you're doing it, but be quick. There we go. We're just gonna keep moving on. Doesn't really matter in what direction, in my opinion, because it needs to get all the way around the fan leaf just to make sure all of it's preserved and none of it will yellow. Make sure you guys get the stem too. And the reason I did this backwards is because this back part is going to act like a glue, like an adhesive, and it's going to stick to the canvas. So here we go. Pretty even. Just want to make sure I go around these little edges again. Hit all of those. All right, that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brush. I'm going to take it right up against the stem and pick it up. Now all this excess that I have here, just kind of even it out. That's why it doesn't really matter how much you put because you're gonna evenly spread it out anyway. So just make sure you get all around there. And the easiest way to do this I found was to take the brush and lift this up. Oops. Just like that. And then slowly start from the top and bring it down. It's gonna kind of just naturally fall. You have to pull it just a little bit. You see it kind of wanting to stay raised up. And I don't really like that placement. Let me do it again. I kind of want that middle one to be right in the center and have the stem kind of go off to the side. Yeah, it looks nice. That kind of looks like it's floating through the wind. All right, perfect. So same thing on the front side, move fast, get more of this. And as you see it start to come back to life, you're gonna wanna press down just so it starts to stick. And the reason I have the smaller brush is to just go back and do these little edges right here where you see all these little points because they will stand up. And if you touch them, if somebody runs their finger against them, they may crack. There was one I had that did crack and another one that didn't, so it may just depend on how thick that fan leaf is. Very nice. There we go. Looking good. Now I sit here for maybe 10 minutes or so, just kind of brushing it back and forth because you can see it coming back to life. And when it does, it's gonna start to curl. And I don't want any curls in it. All right, so we're just gonna keep doing this for a little bit. And I'll come back and show you guys how to do these little edges as well. All right, guys, we are back. I went ahead and brushed all the outside as well. One thing that I did forget to mention is to get a lint roller and make sure you get all the extra debris off of your canvas before you start this. I noticed that I had a couple little fuzzies in there. So the way to prevent that is just to take a little lint roller, brush it across there, and then you're good to go. Right here, what I'm gonna do, since it's kind of starting to dry now and I have enough of the varnish and yeah, varnish. I forgot what it was called. But yeah, since I have enough of the varnish on there, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of do brush strokes like this. And you can see right here how it's kind of bubbling. So I'm gonna push a little bit of varnish underneath and then just continue, and I'll come back to those little pieces. But you'll just continue to brush outward all the way around. You can come back and do the opposite way too, just to make sure you get all the varnish underneath every single little piece of stem here and branch all the way around. All right. And the more that you do it, the flatter it'll be. But this one I'm gonna do a little bit different. I'm not gonna press it down as much because I've noticed that some of them are super flat like a paper, but I think I want this one to have just a little bit more body than the other ones. And then the edges, like I said, make sure these little points have a lot of varnish. You wanna make sure that it doesn't start to curl or come up. That's gonna be the first point that it does. But overall, this looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it a little bit more natural looking and not as pressed as the other one I'm gonna show you. All right, yep. I think that looks pretty good. You can always go back with your other brush and kind of just make it even so it's not all like soupy in these little areas, but it's okay for now. This is just to show you just the general idea of what you're trying to accomplish. Don't forget the stem on the bottom. So that's gonna be the basic how-to. You're gonna let this dry for at least 24 hours and I'll show you the finished one that I have. All right, guys, after 24 hours, this is what the finished piece is going to look like. It just depends on what type of varnish you use. So on the back of this one, I put a matte and I did a high gloss finish on each of the leaves. So that's why they look kind of more like photos. On another one I did, it was all matte, so I could do different variations and just kind of play with it and see which one I like, but I think I like the all matte one better. As you can see in this Ready Whip, which is red velvet times Cool Whip, you can see the stems really nice in here. I really like that detail. And the reason that I was saying was I didn't want to press down as much was because you can definitely see that these are very flat. And then the little one I did, yeah, right there, Mrs. Bay City, signed, official. But this one, you can see it kind of has a little bit of body to it. It almost looks like an actual leaf is laying on the page. So that's the look I'm going for in the other one that I have. And that's why it's just a little bit different. So all in all, just a learning curve. It's fun to kind of play with them and see what works and what doesn't. I also like playing with these different fonts, different colors of the strains and the crosses. So that's been pretty fun. If you guys like it, drop a comment, subscribe to learn more how-tos, and I will see you guys on the next one.